Is it trash or is it absolute cinema? As you know, the Sonic 3 movie came out this last weekend and we were a little bit more than excited for it. We replayed through all of Sonic Adventure Battle 2 to prepare ourselves for the movie itself. And I figured, why not? I'm looking to expand the types of content here on the channel, so why don't we do a quick review of the movie? So this video will be split into 3 parts. The first one will be a non-spoiler version of the review, the second part will have spoilers, and then the third will be kind of more a rambling, hypothetical, weird section. But I'll make sure to go ahead and put little, like, I don't know, tags or something on the screen when we do get to the spoiler section, just so everyone is aware, especially if you're kind of skimming through the video as well, just so you don't hear anything that you don't want to. So let's go ahead and hop on into the spoiler-free version of the review. So honestly, I know as much as I hyped up the movie while playing Sonic Adventure 2, I kind of went into the movie with some kind of like middle-of-the-line expectations, especially considering how disappointed I kind of was in the second one. As much as I love Knuckles, the plotline of the second one just, I don't know, didn't catch me as much as the first, but I would honestly say that, you know, the quick and dirty of it, the third one blew even the first movie way out of the water. Like, 3 is like way up here on a pedestal, and then, you know, it's like first and then second. So I would honestly recommend seeing it if you are a fan of the series. They definitely threw in a lot of little Easter eggs and fun hints to really keep the fans going, especially after replaying Sonic Adventure 2. I was like, oh my gosh, there's that thing. There it is. He said the thing. Oh my god, blah, blah, blah. You know, the usual fun stuff. But to be honest, the plot of the third one was actually very well constructed. I do have a few gripes here and there, but that more comes from me being like, you know, I just want one of the games just one-to-one directly translated. But, you know, they're probably not going to do that. And I'm not sure if you're in the same boat as me, but one of my biggest concerns going into the movie was the extent that the human storyline was going to play in the overall plot of Sonic 3. And I'm happy to announce that they did take a little bit more of a backseat this time around. Not saying that the human actors are bad, but it's not what I want in a Sonic movie. I want more of Sonic, you know, his friends, his villains, his world, you know, all that sort of fun stuff. So I'm happy to see them taking more of a role as Sonic's assistants, where it's like, oh, this, you know, thing needs more of a human touch than, you know, Sonic just being able to, you know, do it himself. The other concern that I had going into the movie was the characterization of Gerald Robotnik. When I saw him in the trailer, I was like, oh no, they're just gonna make him literally just Jim Carrey 2.0, even though, I mean, it is just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey for the most part. But they did honestly make it a little bit closer to at least my mental expectations of Gerald. So, you know, that was a huge plus without going into any spoilers on that. And let's see. Keanu Reeves did an amazing job as Shadow. Honestly, you know, the voice fit, the mental images fit. There was a few lines where I'm like, oh, I could totally just see him saying that in one of the video games like Sonic Adventure 2 or, you know, Shadow the Hedgehog. One of those games, like, you know, they could do a remake and just have Keanu Reeves be Shadow, and I'd be like, oh, perfect, perfect. And as for the flip side of the coin with Team Sonic, honestly, Knuckles carried the show in this one. Like, holy crap, Knuckles was amazing. While it's a bit of a shock seeing how much his character, you know, is different from the video games to the live action show, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I think he does a really, really good job of contrasting both Sonic and Tails' characters. And as for Sonic and Tails, they're about what you expect. You know, Sonic is basically doing the same old thing, and Tails is doing the same thing as well, more taking that kind of background supporty role. And this is a little bit disjointed, but Jim Carrey was great as well. I would honestly say that he was probably my second favorite. So it was like Knuckles and then Jim Carrey as both Ivo and Gerald. And then, yeah, the rest of the Sonic cast below that. And one last quick thing I will say before I move on to the spoiler section is that the movie looked great, honestly. It's one of those where, you know, I'm surprised at just how well, you know, new live action movies are looking. Like, the movie looked great. I mean, heck, not Sonic related, but even the new, like, Lilo and Stitch live action, like, the trailer for that looked pretty good too. Like, I don't know what they're doing nowadays, but yeah, keep that. We need more of that. But yeah, would definitely recommend. Honestly, solid, probably like 8 out of 10 in terms of, like, Sonic movie potential. So I'm like, you know, go see it. If you like the first one, you'll definitely love the third one as well. Alrighty, and then now I'm going to be moving on to the spoiler section. So definitely stop here. Definitely go see the movie if you haven't already. Or if you don't care about spoilers or have already seen the spoilers and want to keep going, you know, now's the time for that. So, you know, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. We are getting into the spoiler section. To kick off the spoiler section, I'm honestly kind of sad that they didn't have anything with Sonic and Shadow's like Faker lines where they're like, I found you, Faker. It's like, Faker, you're the fake hedgehog around here. You know, that sort of back and forth. I kind of wish that they had it, especially at the first encounter after the jump out of the helicopter where it's like, all right, they're fighting, and they kept like doing this back and forth where it sounded like they were ending on words that started with F, and I'm like, oh. every time where I'm like, oh, found you, no. All right, no. So that was a little disheartening. But one thing that I was really glad to hear that even I was like, when I heard it in the audience was when Sonic was jumping out of the helicopter right before the encounter with Shadow, where he was basically doing the city escape line where it's like, no food or movies, I'm out of here. Where it was basically like that, and then he jumps on out. I was like, man, there it is, the line. And I didn't notice it at the time, but apparently in the credits there is like City Escape listed as one of the themes. So I'm like, was that during that part? I don't know. I couldn't hear. They had a bit of the Sonic Adventure 2 sound effects too loud over BGM, going on. And be warned, these are in no particular order. I honestly just made a big note sheet of a bunch of different things I wanted to talk about or took a note of in the movie that I really enjoyed. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna start kind of going through those. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a part in the movie where Eggman's ringtone is the Eggman song, where it's the EGGMAN. That plays during the Egg Golem fight and stuff like that, or any time that Eggman is on screen, when he's broadcasting to the world. Unfortunately, that was the only part of the movie that I heard that in. It was for such a short little bit of time. I was like, dang it, we need more of that song. But yeah, so Eggman's ringtone is the EGGMAN, Eggman song. Let's see. Kind of in the same vein of music, I'm so glad that we got Course 40 Live and Learn at the end. I was like, oh yes, finally. We got a little bit of a teaser, and I was like, oh, I hope that's not the only part of it when Maria's on the guitar. And you kind of hear those first few riffs of Live and Learn or the Sonic Adventure 2 menu music. I'm like, oh boy, yes, here it is. And I guess the only other thing that I have written down that's really music related is it was really fun hearing the fanfare after Sonic won the race in the beginning. It was like, oh yes, it's basically the level clear, let's go. I'm here for it. Oh yeah, the Shadow the Hedgehog reference had me dying when he gets on the motorcycle that picks up the gun. I was like, there it is. Oh my gosh. They actually did it. They actually gave Shadow a gun. I wasn't expecting it. I thought that they might have done a playful reference with the motorcycle, but him actually having the gun and doing the pose that we see at the beginning, I'm like, oh, there it is. But also, speaking of Shadow, seeing the recreation of the scene where he's surrounded by all the gun guards in the city, and then as well using the chaos control to take them down was so much fun to see, as well as it opening up on Gun's prison island. I was like, oh, there it is. We don't get to see it too much in Sonic Adventure 2. I mean, we get to play through it with some of the tail stages and the one Sonic stage. I guess it's more than more than not much. We do get quite a few stages on the gun prison island, but it was nice seeing it open up on there. And then I think there was a little gamma robot on the desk. It was kind of quick, whereas it's either one of the egg bots that we get to fight, or it was a gamma robot. And I'm like, ooh, nice. I guess also kind of speaking of Gun, them taking more of the villain role in this one was kind of cool, where, obviously they start off very friendly, but it's there's something at work here with Gun. Is the post-credit scene going to be kind of in relation to that for going into Sonic 4? Or are we going to see more of them kind of taking the aggressor in later movies? Who knows? Who knows? And I guess kind of continue on the road of Gun stuff. I mean, they must be pretty relaxed if the two humans were able to get into the gun facility that easy. They're just like, oh, we're going to go full Karen on you. And they're like, well, all right, well, we give up. Yep, you can go in our facility. No clearance needed. Especially during a lockdown. I was like, yeah, I know they kind of framed it it might have been part of a trap or something, but yeah, that seemed like they kind of just folded a little bit too easily there. And also in relation to folding easy, I'm surprised that they had the gun soldier shoot the explosive brick next to Maria instead of actually shooting Maria, which I know that they probably didn't want to do because kids movie. But nonetheless, it was nice that actually was put into the movie. And no, my theater did not cheer when Maria died. I was honestly expecting it. I was about to jump out of my seat. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. It's about to happen. I'm gonna jump up and cheer with them. And then it was just dead silent. So yeah, that did not happen in my theater. But kind of rewinding a little bit there, the part where, they went into the gun facility to, hack into the mainframe, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it was I'm glad that the human characters were more relegated to backup, where it's we can't just have Sonic dress up in a gun uniform and be like, hey guys, I'm here for work, or anything like that. So it was nice seeing that the humans were used a little bit more sparingly in this type of capacity than giving them full on plot lines that are just oh my gosh, it's dragging on forever and ever. but it did give a good segue for Sonic's character growth, especially with the Donut Lord taking one to the sternum there and basically almost seeing Jesus. So I guess I'll allow it, since, you know, they're probably not wanting to touch maybe like a character such as Tails or Knuckles being in that same situation, even though, who knows, it would have been maybe a little bit more fitting or more touching for the audience if like Shadow just, you know, one punch Tails or something like that. And I guess kind of speaking of Tails, he really did take a back seat in this movie. I was really hoping that we got to see like the tornado or something like that. But I mean, for the most part, it was just like, oh, here's the cloaking device. They had the map, the handcuffs. I think those were the main three, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. I kind of wish they gave him a little bit more of a involved role, but, you know, it's like he said, where, you know, he doesn't mind being the supporting character because they are all friends. You know, the usual happy fun stuff. And then kind of on the flip side of that, we had Knuckles, who really stole the show through and through. They really just like put the spotlight on Knuckles and they're just like, all right, everything out of his mouth, comedy gold. Our entire theater was just dying anytime Knuckles opened his mouth. I did really like the line where they started mentioning that he was afraid of ghosts, especially coming off of Sonic Adventure 2, where I'm like, that's like the number one enemy he fights is ghosts. So I was fully prepared for them to actually like show one of those ghosts in the movie, and I'm a little sad that they didn't. I'm sad that they were just like, here's funny Casper the Friendly Ghost. But, you know, it did give him the line where he's like, there's no way a ghost can be friendly. you know, that line. So I'll give it a pass for now. But I can definitely see why they gave Knuckles his entire own spin-off show, which I still need to watch. I know, fake Sonic fan here. But this movie did really make me want to actually start watching it, so who knows, maybe that's what I'll put on over this next weekend. And then I guess just to wrap up the Holy Trinity here, we do have Sonic, who is pretty consistent from how he acted in the first and second movie. I do like that we get a little bit more character growth and characterization, that he might not fully be over Longclaw's death in this movie. And then as well, you know, if anything happens to Tom the Donut Lord, you know, that kind of fully sends him over the edge. And, you know, he was so close to ending up like Shadow himself, but, you know, was dragged back from the edge right before he fully went over. Or did he? Most of this is just going to be kind of more my thoughts on how characters developed in the movie. But that's fine. I'm just going to keep rambling on here. But then we have Shadow, which I'm honestly glad that they kept his characterization very similar to Sonic Adventure 2, with, you know, his kind of story arc of being hacked out of Prison Island by Robotnik, you know, at least seemingly at first, you know, come to find out that it was Gerald all along. And then, you know, kind of assisting with the launching of the space station Ark, trying to use the Eclipse Cannon to, well, instead of take over the world, destroy the world, because, you know, Gerald is still in this one. You know, he's not just kind of a projection that, you know, appears every so often. And yeah, kind of side tangent there. I do like that we got to see the Prison Island jail cell during the one transmission with Gerald. That was super cool, where I was just like, ooh, there it is. And, you know, I'm trying to like tap the people that went with me. I'm like, wait, there it is. There's the jail cell. And they're like, shut up, Haven. We're in the movie. I'm like, oh, yeah. But yeah, overall, Shadow's characterization was basically just the Sonic Adventure 2 storyline, where it's like freed, you know, he has some memories of Maria, but is still kind of angsty. Near the end, he kind of remembers it's like, oh, Maria wants me to actually save everyone. Becomes good, goes supersonic, helps Sonic fight entities in space, which I'm so sad we didn't get BioLizard. Like, oh my gosh, I was really waiting for after Gerald died by getting bug zapped that we were gonna get BioLizard, and I'm like, man, why couldn't we have gotten BioLizard? But oh well. And then yeah, we had the uncertainty of Shadow's death, you know, until the after the credits scene. But you know, at least at the time, it's very similar to Sonic Adventure 2, where it's like, okay, he kind of blew up with the Ark. We didn't get him superimposed over the Earth, so that was a big L. I did cry and shit myself in the theater at that point because he was not there. He was not superimposed over the Earth. And then, you know, our final two characters, I guess the same actor though, Jim Carrey as both Ivo Robotnik and as well Gerald Robotnik, I think did a great job. You know, he is very much a cartoony villain for both of them. I'm glad that as the movie went on, we got to start seeing some of the cracks form with Gerald, because that was kind of my biggest concern, was that Jim Carrey was going to take Gerald and just make him like too silly of a character. And I know he kind of did that for a bit of it in the beginning, but then kind of backed off and started, you know, showing the cracks here and there until the big reveal near the end where it's like, oh, I want to destroy the Earth. Yeah, I don't want to take over the Earth. We're blowing it up. So that was nice to see. And then yeah, his death was completely unexpected. I was not expecting Eggman to basically peg him with a sonic quill and send him into the reactor. You know, but when it happened, BioLizard would have been perfect. Would have been amazing. Just like he gets overfilled with chaos energy, becomes Bio-Lizard, starts trying to drag the Ark to Earth. Would have been an amazing finale. I would have actually, like, exploded in the theater. In what way? You'll have to find out. But that's not to say that the characterization was perfect. There was definitely some parts where I'm just like, okay, like, we've seen enough, Jim Carrey, move it along. But overall was very enjoyable for both of them. And then, yeah, Eggman was very, consistent throughout the movie. And I am glad that we did get to see Eggman take over the airways. I know that was one of the things that we were just like, that's what he needs. He needs to take over the airways. He didn't play his Eggman theme during it, but, I'll give him some slack there. He was too busy trying to save the Ark. Well, save the world, but then also destroying the world, taking over the world. He was broadcasting a whole bunch. Oh yeah, and then the few final things that I have before we jump into the final section. I love the part with Shadow watching the soap operas, where it's just like, yep, this is gonna, only further the memes that are circulating with its like Shadow loving Latinas and like all this other stuff, and it's like needing to go to Mexico and all that sort of fun stuff. So I'm here for it. I'm ready to see more of the memes that are going to circulate because of that. Well, okay, I guess the rest of the stuff we can talk about in the next portion here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep up all the spoiler stuff because this is mostly going to be talking about like the after the credits stuff, as well as, maybe the future of Sonic. Are we going into Sonic 4? Is it going to end the series here on a massive cliffhanger? Who knows? But that after the credits scene, that was awesome. Seeing both Metal Sonic as well as Amy Rose, I was like, oh my gosh, they're both here. Sonic 4 confirmed. And I know they didn't like give an actual like title card saying Sonic 4 confirmed, but after seeing the box office ratings, I'm like, there's no way that they're gonna like turn that down. There's no way that they're gonna be like, yeah, we don't need a Sonic 4. We already have too many piles of money bags on the floor. But after seeing both of them in the end credits there, it's like, okay, are we gonna be going into a Little Planet arc where it's like, okay, the Little Planet appears, they go there, they do all the fun stuff, we actually get more into like the time stones? Or is it going to be just they somehow came to Earth? Maybe Eggman created the Metal Sonics before the Ark disaster? Who knows? But I'm honestly excited to see. It could honestly create a really cool dynamic where it's like, okay, now we're actually going to a fantastical world. Like, who knows? Maybe they bring the humans along with and they do something weird on the side. But it's like, okay, we can actually get to another world and where we might be able to introduce more like Cream, maybe actual Chows, Big the Cat, etc., etc. But I guess at this point, we'll have to wait and find out. But Sonic 4, I hope we get it. I bet we will. So who knows? Maybe in another year or two, we'll have Sonic 4 and all our speculations will be denied. They'll be like, nope, we're not adding any of that to the movie. And another possibility that they could go would be like bringing in Black Doom, like that comet that we saw like Shadow in when he was like first revealed, like the first like videos of him looked very similar to some of the like comets and like creatures that like Black Doom had. So I'm like, like we could have him in the next one, especially after the second end credit scene where we did see that Shadow either survived or who knows, maybe a clone. There are a lot of Shadow clones out there, so it could be, Shadow died up at the Ark and then they're like, all right, bring in a clone. But at least my own speculation is like for the movie continuity, they're probably going to say Shadow used Chaos Control to save Eggman from the Ark in the end. Both live in the next movie, both come in, do whatever, but at least in my opinion, that would be the easiest way to kind of wrap things up without getting like too convoluted in just how crazy some of the Sonic timelines get. Oh yeah, kind of jumping back to the first, after the credits scene, I was kind of sad we didn't get like a Amy Rose is here, but I mean, they probably haven't figured out like casting fully for that role yet. Who knows? Or maybe they have it like very early on stages of development. But yeah, I was like, when she lifted the hood, I'm just like, this would be the perfect time. Just say Amy Rose is here, and then just cut to black. Then yeah, that would actually be hilarious. But I feel like at this point in time, they have a lot of different routes that they can go with Sonic 4, where, do they want to go more of a original story, kind of like they have been doing, but with like tie-ins to other games? Do they want to be like, all right, we've done Adventure 2, but what about Adventure 1? That could be fun. Or are they going to go for like a Sonic CD sort of route with both the inclusion of Amy and Metal? Like it kind of makes some sense there where it's like, all right, this is, the next, line of thinking for where the series is going to go. But we can also include characters like Shadow in it, and, it'd probably be perfectly fine. And while I could go on speculating for a while, I'm going to go ahead and pass the question back on to you. What do you think is going to happen in Sonic 4? Are we going to, get Little Planet? Are they going to follow a different game storyline altogether? Are we going to get more like a Shadow the Hedgehog storyline? Or are they going to go completely off the walls and make their own storyline altogether? But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review here. Like I said earlier, like I would honestly give it like an 8 out of 10 for a Sonic movie. Definitely recommend seeing it. Even like if you're not like a huge Sonic fan, it's, you know, just an enjoyable, you know, film overall. You know, I think they put in something for everyone in there. So yeah, definitely would recommend. And definitely also let me know what you thought of this video as well. I figured I needed more different types of content here on the channel, so I figured why not? We just saw the Sonic movie, let's do a Sonic review. Who knows, maybe that'll be our calling, review content. Yes. But a huge thank you if you made it this far, and a huge thank you to all of our channel members. Starting with the gold, we have Ivan Cabrera, Cameron, Clark, Rain, Leonardo, Cornelio, Zemisig VT, JBug1997, Red Dino, Mitria, Here is Kyoko, Peely King Yeet, and Icy Bara. I do apologize if I mispronounced any of those, definitely let me know if I did down below. And our 2 platinum adventurers, Nikki Muffin and Nobody Special, thank you so much for making videos like this possible. My name is Haven, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.